Greetings, salutations. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Ekard here, our partner in crime.
Hey guys, what's up? It's OTK.
And we're here for the last episode of Commandos, episode 7. It's a Nina focused episode, from what we can, from what I just saw, before I clicked this video, it did show Nina, and talked about like her backstory. So, I guess there's only one thing to do.
Yeah, let's hurry up, get through it, and so we can talk about it. I believe it's the last episode. I genuinely thought we had one more to go.
Yeah.
7 episodes is weird.
Yeah. Squid Games.
Oh right.
Oh man. Here we go. Oh.
Here we have it.
Here we literally go.
Baby, way too clean.
She has
Lady, don't be sitting on the floor like that.
Bro, what?
Some babies are born like Miss you. I'm so happy to not see your fuck ass anymore.
Oh, until season 2. Well, hopefully they got out season 1, so you know.
Right.
It's funny, until Creature Commandos came out, I did not know what James Gunn looked like at all, because I just didn't. I don't usually follow up with that. So, and then the interview came on about Batman afterwards, so then they finally saw him in person. Bro. Shout out to the voice actor, cause
yeah, he's good.
This man scared shitless. I don't blame him, bro.
If a regular man was talking like that in my cab, I'd be like, please God, don't
yeah.
kill me. Okay.
Oh no. Oh, I thought she was gonna pull his like neck off. Like, I mean, she still like choked him out, you know. But with the series, Kayla's. Oh God!
I don't want that. I don't want that. No, thank you.
So that's a little too rough.
But I don't want that.
So that's a little too rough. Oh man, facts. Hey, yo. Bro. A whole nother IP. There's a lot of, you know what? I'm still gonna make the joke. There's a lot of people who pay for that.
Shoot me first, please. Yes, hold her hand. Run away like that.
Oh man.
Baby girl, what is going on?
Postmortem depression.
No.
I love you, Edward. But you're torturing us both.
Wait,
Bro.
what? Oh, there's so many layers to this
I'm gonna stay
conversation.
with my mother for a while.
Last cigarette he ever smoked.
Oh.
Oh, Jesus. Why? These are just
the wildest things.
the wildest depths, bro.
No, this is a bit.
Don't worry, honey.
Yeah. This is torture.
Yeah.
So he turns Nita into the being that we currently see. Now you went from one issue and created another one now. Yep, you created a new issue now.
Oh, what? Hands, what is happening?
Morning swim.
She's just not wearing shoes. Like, she's going far. Why is she not wearing any shoes?
She gonna live her life.
Fair, I guess. Okay.
Yo, true villain out here.
Use her biology with
You want me to explain to a principal?
Oof. Yeah.
Use her face protector.
I wonder how we might be finding out how she got into jail pretty soon. Oh, tell her.
I think that's a little up in the air.
Ribbit. All right, I'm still trying to see if Nina, you know, is a villain at the end of the day. Weasel out here. She was like, why is the princess out here double cheeked up on a Thursday? What's going on? Oh no, I don't like this music with that way she's looking at Nina. Don't fall for it, Nina. See? See?
You need to kill the princess.
Bro.
I need to kill the princess. The only way
Bro.
to get her is under the water.
She's not the one.
Sit. Shut up.
Fruit.
The bride is right. Wait until she dips under, then do it.
Do what? Stab her.
Bro.
We'll go out the way we came in. Twist.
Jesus.
Home field advantage. She won't even see you coming.
This is gonna go so wrong.
Right. Because I'm a bitch.
Oh no.
He's freaking.
Yeah, I just don't want Dr. Phosphorus touching my arms at all. I'm just saying. You really don't. This is gonna backfire. Oh, that transition.
Of a sea
Star
creature
City,
living
okay.
in our sewers and water supplies. And tonight, an elaborate hoax.
He's gonna see Nina.
This photo was taken by to help track down and
Even
capture
mentioned.
the beast.
My God.
They're gonna kill his. They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. And she about to go ham. Oh, she can't even.
Yo, fuck cops. Every day it's fuck cops. Every day it's fuck cops. All day, every day. ACAB. Fuck that shit. Oh my God.
What's up?
I don't know.
No reason. I know.
All right, bro. Calm
Yeah.
down.
Oh my God,
Yo.
I'm out of shape.
Okay.
Swamp Thing. Not Swamp Thing, right? Or was this
Clayface.
Playface? Yeah.
He's a
It's a Swamp Thing.
he's a shapeshifter.
Same
Yeah.
universe.
Okay.
No.
It's too
Why?
late to
What is
apologize.
What's the setup?
He's the setup.
Sergey.
Well, we're about to see our princess get gutted for no reason. And Nina's about to take her first body. That's what's about to happen. Or Weasel. Ah, Weasel, go, please. Don't do it, Nina. Don't do it, Nina.
You when that coming to her right?
Mm-hmm.
Beam.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But oh no.
Oh. No, Weasel. Oh, no. Nina's gonna die. Someone's dying. Nina is dying. Nina is dying. Nina is dead. Oh my God, the looks in her eyes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Nina is dead. Bro. Bro, who is the princess, bro? Those eyes were cold-blooded. But Nina is a casualty.
Fish girl killed.
Mm.
Where are you going?
I'll be back.
Damn, son. Bro, those are some cold-blooded eyes, Kayla. Oh, man. She wants to destroy you.
Telling the truth about you.
Oh, you're funny.
Oh, a
very
gun?
funny monster.
A gun?
What the?
Cersei, you
Mary
suggested
Scheller?
you kill her. That would have taken care
Matilda?
of everything. But Flag was. Even though
Big
she
brain,
wasn't, she
big
was
brain.
when Waller spoke.
This is a
World.
Disney princess.
But I want you to know, I'm not going to kill you because you're going to call.
Bro. Oh, ho, 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 oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now imagine that I didn't actually kill her. Nah, oh wait, she looked kind of dead. Right between the head. Oh Jesus, choke slam that man. Or technically face slam. Holy shit. And then there were 3. Or, in a minute.
For you and your
Non-human in
My
a
team.
minute. The boy!
Reporting for
The
service,
boy! He back! Oh shit! Oh.
You in?
What else I gotta do?
Bro. Bro, is there anything else at the end? Oh, wait, there is. There is.
pink soup.
Sparrow droppings.
Tastes disgusting.
Yes.
Oh. All right. Yeah. Best thing about the episode, the boy is back. Worst thing about the episode, the girl is gone. Both of them. Oh man. And the way that Nina went out was sad. Just sad all around. You know, she truly didn't do anything like to end up in, you know, prison or anything. Yeah, her story was just tragic from beginning to end. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bride is a real one for you know, killing Ilana. Ilana is a real one for sticking up for herself. I mean, I don't believe Ilana. You know, it's hard to believe she's taken out that easy, considering then again what Cersei vision was showing and whatnot. I mean, it is pretty big brained. You know, to basically have the intel about Cersei, and you know, Cersei's visions from the future and whatnot, and then to pretty much plant the to utilize Clayface to plant a fallacy. Yeah.
Ilana did that.
Yeah,
Cersei
that's
had
what.
nothing to do
No,
with
no,
it.
no.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It was a big brain play by Ilana to do that, right? Which this is why I don't think she's dead. Then again, we don't know her powers, if she even has powers. But the fact that Cersei was so pressed that she needed to kill Ilana, that's why I'm like kind of questioning what a gunshot to the head. I mean, this is comics, so I gotta question everything. Like, is a gunshot to the head, to her head, going to really be the end all be all? You know, how fast will news travel of her, you know, supposed death? So that's why I'm holding my breath, knowing that there's a season 2 to this series, knowing that the big thing around this series was Cersei trying to kill Ilana in the beginning. That's why I'm half believing that we're truly done with that plot line, because like if that was the case, Cersei would have, you know, not that she would have done this earlier, but she would have wasted really no time trying to kill Ilana when she was really in her grasp, instead of like playing around and whatnot. Then again, you know, that's what I said, that premonition, you know, that Cersei gave off the fact, I mean, hey, she's ruling the world. She got Gorilla Grodd and all these other things going on. And I'm just going to assume that she has powers of some type, right? Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, about comics in general. We also need to understand. Even in a world of fantastical beings, humans are essentially just as powerful, if not more so, in certain circumstances. Whereas Alana doesn't necessarily need to have fantastical powers, but her power of status, position, and riches helps facilitate, like in the real world, these wars. Gorilla Grodd doesn't have powers. He's a super intelligent gorilla from a place of, and he has like telepathic abilities, but it's not like he can shoot lasers out his eyes, right?
Yeah.
We're just living in a world where there is a place where gorillas can speak, have high intelligence, have a society. So it's like that, right? Whereas he himself has telepathic abilities.
Telepathy, yeah.
He's still a bad guy, so it's not like he has the backings of his nation behind him, right? He does his own shit. He works with other villains. So working with just a human like Lex Luthor, right? Someone who has human intelligence, money, status, power. Yeah. Alana is that. Just showing that you don't need to be a Superman to cause super destruction. Yeah. So I think if, let's say in season 2 they do change that, I don't know if I'd be a real big fan of that, because I like the allegory of humans do fucked up shit. Humans don't need extra powers to do fucked up shit, right? Yeah. Is that we haven't seen her do any fucked up shit. Right. That's why I'm heading towards, until I see her do some fucked up shit, or even give a real hint of her having these said capabilities to cause a World War III. That's why I'm placing my bets on her being alive rather than dead, because we're getting a season 2. Well, I think you don't need to see people do fucked up shit to know that they're capable of fucked up shit. That's Cersei's premonition, right? Cersei had this premonition of what could happen, of a just like with all precogs or people who can see the future doesn't happen until it happens. So she's had this premonition, knows that if Alana, with her power and status and money and finances and her position as a nation's leader, whether big or small, because we also know small nation leaders can work with other bigger nations to cause mass destruction. I mean, World War II, one. We know how these things work. So she doesn't necessarily need to be from a bigger place. It's like, okay, well, she's a monarch of a place that can still facilitate something, can still facilitate a hub of power. So connecting with someone who can create a guerrilla army, and then also with the technology that we see Kolistan has, because like the Knights are wearing crazy ass tech. Like there's something there that they keep calling it a backwards nation. That backwards nation's rich people has some crazy ass fucking tech, shoots fucking lasers. That armor is nuts. So there's obviously showing the disparity there, right?
Disparity,
disparity. Thank you. Of how, just like in the real world, people, our normal people, our small folk or whatever, just live their lives. Some of us in squalor, some of us paycheck to paycheck, and then those above us have means to protect themselves and protect their interests through either co-opting sciences or co-opting other nations' tech, signing contracts with other nations. I mean, considering that she signed whatever contract that I think her signing the contract there at the end is also a hint of what is to come, what is the possibility. Yeah. Right?
Well, her death is now just going to promote it, because that's what they were afraid of World War III, right? And that's why I'm like, this premonition more so, like there's definitely more to it, whether it's her, her life leads to her being alive, leads to, this whole thing with Guerrilla God and like World War III, right? But they literally also just said, oh, we need to prevent a World War III from happening. Well, if you're going to kill the princess at the end of this, now you're just going to give fuel for World War III to happen.
But that's the thing, though. This is what Waller suicide squads are. There's a government connection, but there's no government connection, right? Yeah. The bride technically is from Kholistan. So she's not really a U.S. agent, or so to speak, right? Only the people who are making the phone calls in there know that she's working with an American government agent in Waller. But she has no ties to the American state. So you can't start a war without concrete evidence that another nation's hitman killed the monarch, right? Because again, as they showed us in episode 2, that she's technically from there. So you can be like, well, she's from there. It must have just been a disgruntled villager who killed her, right? Well, right? I mean, there's ways to spin it.
Well, because the way that I won't believe they will be able to spin is because the bride killed her after receiving that confirmation, and they just had the conversation about like not killing her. So when they go into the room, because like if the time frame was, if there was more time in between when the orders were given not to kill and when Bride killed her, then that's easier to spin that story. But you killed her in her own study. The bride is clearly leaving. This is gonna give more like liability. You can what I'm trying to say is you can't have plausible deniability in this case, only because of the time frame. So Waller's gonna look at them like, hey, once they get the news that she's dead, which is gonna be in season 2,
which they already have, because otherwise they wouldn't give the bride her team. But like,
no, that's what I said. That's what I said they don't know yet.
Waller knows. I'm pretty sure.
Like from what? All right. So from this time frame right now, we can assume no, because the bride literally they just all leave after that, and then immediately now she's being given a team. Like there's still. That's why I'm like, yeah, like that. There's no. I don't think she would know at the moment.
What makes you think that they wouldn't tell her?
Not that they wouldn't tell her, because it hasn't been like there would be. All right. So the main thing would be there would be a bigger finasco going on. Right. If the princess is dead, then there's going to be a retaliation. So that's why I'm like, and the time frame between the princess, like, because we're looking at this from the time frame from Nina dying to this time frame where she's getting a team. That's the only thing we don't know. So that's why I'm like, we don't know if Waller actually knows. But what we do know is that right now the princess is dead, and there's a time frame in between that right now, right? So in this time frame, that's what I'm saying. We don't know what's going on. That's why I don't believe Waller knows what's going on either, because they did.
See,
Yeah,
I think if I didn't know so much about Amanda Waller, I would agree with you.
But that's in all right. But I would say we can't apply previous Amanda Waller like knowledge for this universe.
I'm applying Viola Davis, James Gunn, DC movie, Amanda Waller. Like, I'm
but
applying
this is a different Amanda Waller.
It's the same because it's Viola Davis.
No, but from all the commenters and then everybody else, this is its own universe.
if there's no way it's its own universe if they're mentioning things that happened in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's
my point.
Yeah, but
we're branching off into something new, yes, but if you're mentioning things that happen in a movie, that means you're canonizing that in its universe.
Yeah, but I've also seen the argument for what I put it like this, right? And I will stick on this point on my side until I see season 2. Until they say Amanda Waller knows what happened, I'm going to assume she doesn't. I'm also going to because it makes the most logical sense to me, because it does make, for me, it makes the most logical sense. Like I don't want to assume that she knows something, because then given all the context that was already given, then it would just null and void all of that, because the whole point of the season, like, because it would make me downgrade what the whole point of the season would be for if I have to think that Amanda Waller knows that they killed Ilana, because then there's other context, like, all right, what's Rick Flag gonna be doing in response to this? What's going on? Like, obviously there's a time period right now and a time skip between whatever happened at the end of the events where Ilana was killed and the bride receiving a new team, right? Which is going to set up season 2. In between that, there has to be the discussion of the fallout for Ilana's death, Cersei, what's her role in all of this, Rick Flag, where is he going to be in all of this, and what he's going to do when he learns that, Ilana is dead, Ilana's death itself, right? If she truly is dead. So that's why I'm like, yeah, like
I would understand that, but like knowing that Phosphorus and the bride both saw Clayface in the video, and they would also need to be debriefed. That means Cersei's premonition was correct. I mean, right. So there's no need for them not to debrief Waller on the situation and to let her know what happened. And especially knowing Waller, she probably also has people in the castle watching, like informants. So she would know about the destabilization that, or they're hiding it because, as most countries with monarchs and shit do, they hide deaths for a while until they can figure out what to do.
Which is another reason why I don't believe Waller knows what's happening. that like, so because what you just said from that, like, if this is true, if what you just said, if, like the hide the death from Ilana, like the main thing is we believe Ilana is dead.
Why wouldn't the bride and Phosphorus? Well, I understand why Phosphorus wouldn't tell her, but why wouldn't the bride tell her?
They also have their own motives, right? No one completely trust anyone, and that's the one thing we've seen with this. No one completely trusts anyone. Phosphorus was immediately trying to get away from Amanda Waller, right? And if these are all villains, they all have ulterior motives, and like this is just based off of what we've seen from here, right? And Weasel, he can't talk at all. Bride has no reason to tell Amanda anything, right? The only person that would tell, that we've seen from the team, that is committed to Amanda is Rick Flag. That's about it. But at the end of the day, these guys are being treated like monsters. Like, to them, it's just a regular job. And the bride even said that she really doesn't care.
But it's also, if that's the case, if Waller didn't know, if she didn't debrief her, she wouldn't have given her a team. Do you know what I mean? There's no, just because they got in there and, showed that they can infiltrate, that's still not a reason for Waller to be like, well, now you lead. right? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we could summarize it as, well, Flag is off the board, so someone needs to lead this team. But if the bride isn't doing anything in my head, knowing what Waller is like, if the bride doesn't prove herself in an exceptional way for Waller, like, that's what I mean. I think for me, the confirmation of her leading her own team is the confirmation of her being debriefed about the situation, and
Yeah.
the bride letting her know Cersei was right, she's dead.
Yeah, but that's when I'm saying I don't agree with that, mainly because of what we've seen with the bride's character, and the bride literally saying at the very end, she don't care about what she was gonna plan to do or any of the stuff that she's even in.
Right.
The only reason she's killing
It's for
Ilana
Nina.
is for Nina,
Which,
and yeah,
fair, but it's still
and
like, even though her motives have changed at that point, her original motives were
yeah,
still to kill the princess to save the
and
world, and
remember.
those are her orders,
Yeah, and then
right? Because
they had to leave immediately, right? And which they did leave immediately before shit hits the fan, right? So there's still a time period between then and there. And the reason why I could believe that it meant, so you believe that they told Amanda, I believe that they didn't. But what supports both of that, right, is the fact that Amanda, even though Amanda is smart, we know she doesn't know everything. She doesn't need to be debriefed on everything because she was tricked by Clayface and the whole plot to basically what Ilana's plot was, going to be, right? Like, they obviously were played into Cersei. She only believed Cersei after seeing a premonition, right? And then she went on her gut instincts to try to eliminate Ilana from there, right? Then this whole thing with Rick Flag and their back history, which we don't really know much about, like, that's why I'm like, I'm looking at all these different details, and I'm just like, all right, well, she could still give the team and still not know that the bride was responsible for Ilana's death. We don't know that information, and I'm not going to assume that information until it's given to us. Like, when it comes to this, I need something more concrete instead of making inferences to just assume that because Amanda know this, because that changes, for me, that would change the entire complexion of the rest of the story. And I'm going just off of, you mean why? You mean why?
What way? Like,
Yeah,
okay,
like,
so
for me,
how do you view it, and how would it change if
So going off of the character work that we just got out of Bride, right? And from what we've seen so far in this first season, at the end of the day, they're all monsters, right? And these monsters are under Amanda for either hook or crook, right? So they're being forced to work, and they have a bomb strapped in their neck, right? So, but we also see that even though they have a bomb strapped in their neck, they're willing to do stuff outside of the jurisdiction to try to get away, which was the first things that we see in the very beginning. The only reason why they was kept together is because Rick was like, look, whether you work and whether you like it or not, we got you by the balls, right? So, but they've also still been trying to complete different objectives for themselves, right? So any advantage that they can get over Amanda, they'll take it. And if that's so, and then I guess if you want to bring into past iterations of Amanda, right? That's what I've seen, at least in those iterations as well. If any member of the Suicide Squad can get something over Amanda's head and have the advantage, then they'll keep it without her even knowing about it. So if I'm just going to apply that to this team itself, well, that's what they showed us so far in this first season. The only person who was more so aligned with them in Amanda was Rick Flag, but then he was brought in to lead the team, which we could assume he can't lead the team anymore. So for me, this would create leverage for the bride, for Phosphorus and Weasel. He can't really do much. So just going off of the character work that's so far presented, that's why I'm thinking, all right, you can have this like they can be given power without knowing that, hey, because if you go into the fact of saying plausible deniability, where they can avoid World War III because these people were killed, or Ilana was killed by some other entity, right? The only thing is that right now we don't know whether or not the word about Ilana being killed is out there to everyone, right? So even with the resources that is given to between Amanda and the other person that was that she called, that the bride mentioned, that ended up giving the phone call and whatnot, like, we don't know how much is going to be kept away from us, the viewers, until the next season. So that's why I'm like, I'm not gonna make the inference on it. The main inference that I feel that I'm making is Ilana is alive, right? And I'm only saying that because of how hard Cersei was trying to kill her. So there's more than meets the eye when it comes to Cersei's story, right? And so that's what I'm talking about more so. So going from Cersei's story to kill Ilana, and then just thinking about, all right, well, they announced a season 2. It's really dramatic the way, you know, Ilana was shot in the head, but being that we know there's a season 2, being that Cersei was she spent her entire thing to go after her, and then Cersei just dips out of nowhere. But we also learned that Ilana was supposed to be bringing about World War III, right? But the one thing that just tripped me up at the very end was, you know, them arguing about World War III starting if they kill the princess. So if World War III is going to start because they kill the princess, then if they didn't kill the princess, there was supposed to be another grand war / takeover of, like, with Gorilla Grodd and whatnot. So I'm like, what? Wait, both situations. Yeah.
Okay, my thing is
Yeah.
though, and okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I see exactly what you're saying. After listening to you, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the Gorilla Grodd thing is, I think he's still on the board, but I don't think that. Okay, so the thing is, in order to prevent World War III, you have to kill Ilana. I think the only thing that kind of still pushes the narrative of Grodd being on the table still is whatever paper she signed at the end before she died. I think if they had killed her before she signed those papers, we wouldn't be like, oh, the threat of World War III is always on the table, no matter what supervillains are doing. But
because they said if they kill her, it would start a war. So they said if they killed her, it would start a war. When they said it, yeah, when Ilana, this is after Waller went into the house, saw that the doctor was dead, and now they need to prevent prevent a war.
It's more so to prevent a war from Pokolistan attacking the U.S.
Yes, that's what that war is, and that's World War III. That's what they
Well, the World War III would only be with the connection of Grodd and his influence on Ilana.
Yeah, well, so, that's what they said for this one. They said World War III. That's why I'm like, the text said World War III. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. You got to go back because I think he just said we're about to start a war, not World War III.
Hold on. Yeah, I could have sworn he said World War III will start because of this. That's why I was just like, all right, well, World War III is going to start because Ilana is dead regardless. Then where does that lead?
Then what's the point of Cersei, though, if that's what he's...
Yeah. Fierce and then passed out again.
That's hold on.
She's the whole reason that we believe Cersei. If Cersei isn't telling the truth,
we're starting a war.
A war.
For
no reason.
With Pokolistan. Yeah, not World War III, just the war with Pokolistan.
Killing the witch.
No.
Stop them from killing the witch. Yeah, because I could have sworn he said that we'll be starting a war, like it will be World War III. Because when we brung up Gorilla Grodd, it was just them taking over the world.
Yeah, which would be World War III. But if you're just starting a war with Pokolistan because you killed their monarch,
yeah, I mean that would be beginning a world war.
It could start a world war, but if Pokolistan doesn't have the backing of other nations and it's just Pokolistan going up against the U.S., then it can eventually lead to a world war. But it would just be a war between the states and Pokolistan. But if Ilana is alive and working with Grodd, that's what starts the world war.
Okay. Yeah, like that's what I was like when they said they're gonna start a war regardless. So like no matter which way, a war is gonna be started.
Yeah, I think it's more about the scale of the war, I guess, and like what Waller saw in Cersei's vision, because obviously I fully believe starting a small war between only a two-nation war, in my opinion, eventually, as we've seen now, does lead out into a bigger world war. But it's not the automatic kickoff as if you have someone from another nation working with another nation, because it would be Grodd and his forces from one nation, even though his nation doesn't support him, But
Yeah.
working with Pocola-san and Alana, so that starts bringing in other people. Then you start killing in the soups, and that's the
Yeah.
the quicker way to push World War III with Gorilla Grodd's intervention and
Yeah.
working with Alana. But if you just kill the Monarch and she hadn't shook hands with Gorilla Grodd just yet, right now you're only just starting a war with a small nation.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
could eventually lead, but that's just, bigger grand scale things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that. Yeah. So, but then essentially still, all right. So still going from that because it's still a war at the end of the day. Even with that, now Ilana is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing we get from the end credits is that she just has a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's still on the table is Ilana's death being like people figuring out she's dead, right? And the retaliation or from that itself. Then Cersei, like what exactly was the whole point with her? And why she even gave this clairvoyance to begin with. Like what was the goal? Like did she need Ilana dead for her own personal reasons or for grander reasons, right? And then that's yeah.
I'm sad that she was only here for 2 episodes because I fucking love that bitch. But
Yeah.
it's like I forget who says it. Satan doesn't want to. Maybe I think Cersei says it. Satan doesn't want to destroy the world because then pretty much what fun would he have, right?
Mhm.
So even though Cersei's a bad guy, or she is a bad guy, she doesn't want the whole world to be over. So if she's being bombarded with this premonition of seeing the world coming to an end, she is like, well, that would, what fun would I have if that happens? So who's easier to kill? The gorilla with the powers or the human that I could like fucking laser her face off? And she could have killed Alana if it wasn't for the intervention of the Monster Squad.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's what's eating at me more so is Cersei's disappearance.
Yeah.
And the plot around Alana for her to be dead. That's why I'm like, all right, if I'm looking at the writing, I'm trying to piece it together. I'm like, all right, technically it don't make sense anymore if I'm looking at it, right? Because especially because like if the whole thing was to still kill Ilana at the end of the season, then what was the point of even like I'm just questioning like what was the point of a lot of other things. Like Nina's death is like technically to me pointless, except for propping up Bride for a character from her.
Right.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
That's why I was like, all right, because Nina her death was like,
honestly, it's that thing that what were we talking about? What anime or show were we watching where they had a war? Maybe it's Arcane. Everything goes back to
no,
Arcane.
yeah, I can't. Yeah, Arcane is just
right. That the idea of war or going into these commando type situations is the idea, especially I think with the whole creature commandos, the idea of innocence and how innocents or people who are not necessarily innocent but are bystanders who are caught up in bad things have bad things happen to them, right?
Yeah.
So like with Phosphorus chose, to get his funding from the mob, and his family who are innocents got caught up in that. Then he gets caught up further in that, and then so on and so forth. Weasel's the same thing. Weasel isn't innocent, so to speak, right? But gets caught up in the death of these children and the death of the old man and all that stuff and gets arrested. G.I. Robot is technically an innocent.
Yeah.
Doing his objective, but gets caught up and because of murder, I guess, gets thrown in jail. The Bride didn't choose to be created. She was created, thought she could live a life. This man is chasing her for the rest of her life. Won't leave her alone. That means she's getting spotted left, right, and center. We don't get more of her life outside of her being chased. So we don't technically know if she particularly did anything to cause Waller to lock her up, right?
Yeah.
Like, did she kill someone? We don't know. With the Bride, it's more like, her story is tied to Eric, sadly. And we just see her being chased by him through time. And it's like, well, is it enough for Eric to be bothering her and for him causing destruction and for her protecting herself to get Waller's attention because the bride has to go through such extremes to get Eric off her back. So
Yeah.
because she has to go through extremes, she gets caught up. Nina, because she was born.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, because she was born. Like, that's it. That's all. Nina's crime was being born. That's it. Being born different.
Yeah.
And even though, like,
being forced to do something that she didn't want to do in the first place.
Right. So she is the innocent, right? Her only crime is being born different. And even though she didn't start out as the Nina that we see at the start, she's still someone born with a disability, right?
Yeah.
Who gets caught up in a system that doesn't care about people with disabilities, that doesn't care about people who look different. So when she says, I'm not a killer, she really means that. But when she finally it's that whole thing of when you find people who believe in you, who think you could do something, then you're like, okay, I guess I am Superman.
They gaslit her to her death.
but like, on accident, on purpose, right? Because
for
it's
phosphorus,
like,
it was on purpose. For Bride, you could say it was on accident.
Yeah, it's like, bitch, you here with us. We have a mission. This is the mission we need to accomplish. We all have to play a part. This is your turn to play the part. You're the only one. Yeah, right. You're the only one. There's no way for all of us to get out of this, but you can. But not fully understanding the scope of who Alana is, right? And then not also, because Weasel can't talk, not knowing what's going on in Weasel's, we only know what is going on. So even with Weasel saving Alana, it's because he has the memories of her being nice to him and the little girl from his episode that he wants to save her. If Weasel hadn't distracted Alana or got her attention, I think Nina would have killed her. But Alana got the drop on Nina, sadly, in the water, and it's to be like, well, those of us who get caught up in these fights, in these wars, or things to prevent war, look, innocence is lost, right? I hate that. I hate that trope. I really do, because we end up with situations like this, and you go, well, I get it. Real life allegories make sense. Innocents are always caught up in shit that has nothing to do with them, and they're there and they're put in positions they shouldn't be in. They're the first to go, I guess. That doesn't mean I want to see it all the time. Like, it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting. And I guess it's also to foster those feelings in the audience too, for us to really think about it, and what war and conflict and cloak and dagger agencies and commando troops do. Innocent, we all get caught up in these things that have nothing or have everything to do with us, right? Because if they hadn't killed Alana and she did work with Grodd, World War III starts and we're all caught up in it anyway. But again, it's like, for innocent people, that has nothing to do with us, because we don't care about a gorilla and a blonde-haired bitch run. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess that's what Nina's death is supposed to be the allegory for. Us innocents who have nothing to do with these conflicts getting caught up in these conflicts, and we're the ones who suffer. But when we look at the Commandos all together, they're all suffering because they're still under Amanda's foot. They still have the bombs in their neck. A little bit of freedom is gained for the bride because she has a little bit of status now, but it's not like she can leave. She lost a friend for this bullshit. Someone she would, honestly,
even though she it's one of those where she's like, you're not my friend. And then
it's always like that, right? But it's one of those things too where it's just like, well, if Waller didn't bring these people together, if you hadn't arrested any of us, I wouldn't feel the loss of this girl I didn't know, and now I have to suffer through the loss of this girl who befriended me and who I almost got killed and who had my back, and now I have to sit through this, you know. And that's what the revenge of killing Alana is. It's like, this story that's being told here is not an old story. I mean, it's not a new story. I apologize. It's not a new story. We see groups get thrown together all the time, and groups where they have the guys or the women who have seen some shit all of a sudden have the newbie or the rookie along for the ride, right? And then you see how the conflicts of war, the conflicts of a fight affect the newbie, and how the newbie is like, well, I'm here to support rah rah rah, or I shouldn't even be here to begin with. And it's always the rookie that dies.
Just like Jinx and the young girl.
Right. Yes. It's exactly. Exactly. So it sucks because it's also like, yeah, Nina's story especially touches, like, for me, obviously there's a relatability in every one of these stories for the Commandos, right? Even Rick Flag Sr. in a way,
Yeah.
right? You believe in your country, you go fight for your country. Where does that leave you? You either continue to work for your country or your country forgets about you, right?
Yeah.
The bride, a man who she didn't ask to be here, and this man won't leave her the fuck alone. She's trying to live her fucking life, and this man won't leave her the fuck alone. GI Robot has an objective. He also didn't ask to be born.
Yep.
But he has an objective, and he's gonna do his job.
Yeah. He
But
back,
he's
so that's the
vilified.
bright part.
Phosphorus, he is also under circumstances where he has family members who have died of cancer. He sees that this is a world issue, knows that there's a way to fix it, just gets caught up with the wrong people. Weasel, we don't know his actual origins, but it's one of those things again where he is just trying to live his life and gets spotted by the wrong people. Who else? And then yeah, Nina's just born different with a disability, bullied her whole life. And the conversation with her mother and father, like, look, there's so much to be said about that, right? I'm obviously not a mother. I do have a mother. It's so watching it from the perspective of my age, and then a lot of the conversations that happen around motherhood and women in general, especially in the last couple years, is very interesting to see that, right? Because it's the thing that a lot of people have noted, especially in the last couple of years, is if you're not prepared to have a disabled child, do not have children. Right. And I think a lot of people who have children, and we know this, think that their child is going to be 100% healthy, and then some of us just aren't born that way. Some of us are born disabled or born different. And then these people who have these babies either abandon these babies because they think it's too much work, or they're not mentally prepared, or they're not financially prepared. No one's really, I mean, unless you're super rich, no one's financially prepared to have a baby these days. But like, so they abandon them, right? Or they abuse them, or they give them up to the system, abandonment, right? Whereas in this case, we had a mother who wasn't prepared to take care of a disabled child, and a father who was like, "Oh, I'm a scientist. I can figure this shit out," and he did. It's the conversation of, well, is this really a life to live? Is a disabled individual? Is that being disabled? Is that with all the things that you need that some disabled people need for their entire lives? Is it a life worth living? And I honestly think that's up to the person with the disability to decide, but unless they're born, it's a circle of life thing. But like, to deem that this isn't a way for her to live when you already have her, and then you have a parent that's looking to support her, it's hard, right? You have one who's like, "This ain't it, chief," and he's like, "But I can do it." And she's like, "I don't want to do it." And it's like, do you respect her choice for not wanting to do it? Or is there a slight vilification because it's like, you have the means to take care of your child? And I get it because it is hard, but you can love your child. Do you not love your child because she's disabled? Like, there's so much in that conversation to question and look at when it comes to parenthood and children, and having the means versus having the means and not taking care of the child, having the means taking care of the child, not having the means, so much. So yeah, that was just so difficult to watch. But then when he does drag her out in the suit, it's just like, I get that you want her to socialize, but damn, that girl is struggling. But we see a lot of disabled kids struggle all the time, right? That doesn't mean they should be kept inside. There's so much. Again, I don't have a physical disability, sort of. Or like a visible physical disability. Yeah, that's it. I don't have a visible physical disability. So I can't really speak too much on it. I have hidden physical disabilities and mental disabilities, right? Or mental illness. So I have ways where I can cope and then go out in the world where it seems like I'm quote unquote non-disabled, right? She has a physical disability. She also needs machines that show that she is different. How far can you push someone like that into a world that you know is going to be abusive to them? And even with her dad doctor, figuring out a way to help her survive and live a life, still presenting her and going out in the world. People are horrible. People are evil. She was bullied nonstop because of her disability, because of her difference, right? And we know how sucky kids can be, right? We know how sucky kids can be. I was a bullied teen. I was a bullied kid, heavily bullied. And just because I was a little heavier or because I had spots on my anything, kids who aren't happy with themselves and parents not giving them proper home training will pick on anyone that they deem weaker that they could get one up on. And because Nina didn't have the fortitude to be able to stand up for herself or to have the right words to stand up for herself, she just kept getting bullied. It just kept getting harder and harder. And I understand those feelings. So seeing Nina decide to run away, it's what a lot of us who are victims of bullying go through. It's either we run away because we can't take it anymore or we commit suicide, right? She decided to run away to give herself a chance at a different life, only for it to be taken away from her, only for her to be arrested, only because she's different, only for them to be killed because of her difference. It's so messy. It's so crazy. Yeah. And I'm trying to grapple whether or not I want to call Nina's death fridging. I don't know if I want to go to that extreme, but it was a motivator for the bride to continue her mission in a way, right?
I think it would classify under that because it's similar to. I mean, we seen it in Shonen, we seen it in other examples. It's just because Nina has already been presented as a tragic character. She was already presented to be lesser than her own contemporaries within this group. And she was just trying to fit in. Her entire story was trying to fit in. And the one moment where it was like she can finally try to fit in, it was half-assed in terms of Dr. Phosphorus saying that did I do a good job? You know, like did I make it sound like I meant it and whatnot? And then even at certain points I was questioning like, did Bride even mean half the stuff she was saying? Or was this just another thing for her to get this job done? We need to get the objective done because that's just been the Bride's, personality the entire way through. But I think it finally sunk in when Nina's dead that, maybe she should have been a little nicer to Nina. Maybe she should have tried to connect with Nina as an actual friend because Nina saw her as a friend, but at the Bride was just, the traditional I'm tough character, right? Yeah. And then it's like
traditionally what would be in a male role.
Yeah.
Right, where there would have been romantic feelings if we had more than 7 episodes develop.
Yeah.
A crush and a friendship if it wasn't 2 women.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand by that because I've been seeing that happen a lot.
Yeah. And, and now with Nina dead, now it's like, the dark, broody, vengeance-filled, like, guy, or just in this one girl, is now the person exacting revenge. Like, she, it's now, up for Nina. Yeah. And then you're left questioning, damn, you could have had a much better connection, but these are just the way that these characters are written until something tragic happens to them. Like they already start off with a tragic backstory, and then that's already hardened them to their ways. And then they have this other character that tries to like break the veil, tries to like overcome their barriers. And at certain points in times they do, but you still have that barrier up. When you see that person die, now it's all hell's gonna break loose. and you know, like the tears of the bride, and it's just But that I would consider fridging, because Nina's character like didn't need to die for any of this truly to happen.
I mean, considering that we lost GI Robot,
there you
but
go.
then got him back at the end, it is okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm always just like teetering on that, because I don't want to call something frigid and then take it away the meaning and the actual weight of that term and the idea of it, when something like frigid does super happen, and we watched a lot of it happening. But yeah, you're right, because if the bride was a guy, I don't think I would have been questioning whether or not it's frigid. I'm questioning it because the bride is a girl. It's just, I don't know. I'm also trying to not think too much over it, but like, I guess the perceived innocence killing actual innocence too, that needed to happen. The perceived innocence in Alana, because she's blonde haired, blue eyed, versus the disabled individual who's done no wrong in her life, but because she looks different. And that's another thing too. Killing those who look different, who are that's a whole other trope as well, that again, that happens a lot. Look, I don't know, I'm questioning a lot and sitting here a lot with this episode. And I know you don't know, but there was a big discourse about how James Gunn writes women and presents women in his shows and in his movies. And I know a lot of people, and I think rightfully so, have honestly good critiques on how he writes women or how they're presented, the archetypes that he uses, how people view women too, that don't, like, a lot of people think that just because a woman can kick ass and shoot a gun, that she's a well-written character or a well-rounded character. And you could see that with the bride. Like, even though, like, for me personally, I can have there's a relation to the bride's story. And I did a mini thread about it because it was going around a lot, because I started sharing our videos. And it was just so crazy that as I was sharing our videos, that it came on my timeline, because I didn't even know that this discourse was happening for a little while now. Actually, I did, but I don't know how far it got, because it started with the Circe takedown in episode 3 by Weasel and Phosphorus, and people questioning, like, how can this sorceress goddess be taken out by a radioactive man and a weasel? And I still hold to my read on it as, well, you know, if an animal man jumps at you, you're gonna be like, oh shit, like, what the fuck, you're gonna get thrown off, right? But now seeing the whole show, it is like, well, we dumped Circe really quickly, and then we had Alana kill Nina. But I don't know, maybe I'm giving too much credit to James Gunn too. I don't know, or maybe I'm actually just getting it. Like, even those with power can still fall, and those who were perceived as normal humans with a modicum of power can still get one over on you. So don't turn your back on them just because they look innocent, right? But then talking about Nina's death and how it all shakes out, because we still walk away with Flag being alive and GI Robot being alive, that the only death we got was the innocent woman character, or the push of the strong female who's a normally
just 2 women
male
died.
Right, 2 women died.
Technically, right? Yeah, if we're gonna say right now, Ilana's dead. Ilana's dead, right? So Ilana's dead, Nina's dead. Everybody else is of importance is alive. Yeah.
So we lost 2 female characters. This is, look, I said in my little thread, when it comes to the bride, on a surface level, on a purely surface level, I like the bride because she's big and muscular and strong, and I find that very attractive. I find her makeup very, like, that's hubba, right? She can choke slam me any day. But I also understand that it's not like she gets sort of character development, right? Her heart opens up to someone, to accept someone into her life, only for them to be taken away from her. So she's now back to being a tragic figure.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she knows how to shoot a gun, that does, like, I don't know, like, it's very complicated. And I know people too, like, I think a lot of people really tacked on to having that, the guard in the Phosphorus episode looking at a nudie mag and things like that. And I think if I really, this is like a big conversation that like that could get attached to Creature Commandos, but it's that conversation that I was having with you in Don Da Don, about the level of how we sexualize female characters or the abuse female characters go through, as opposed to what male characters go through in the show, or how male characters are sexualized in the show. I think the closest thing that we got to sexualization in the show was Rick Flag for a male, right?
Yeah.
Everything else we've seen of a sexual nature has been more towards the presentation of the women on the show. Fear of being raped, assaulted, at the whorehouse where the girls got assaulted and was beaten. The fear of Nina being raped in that episode. The implications that Ileana was gonna get raped by one of the Sons of the Mascara. How Eric perceives the bride. So yes, there is how yes. How he's presenting his female characters is not great. Especially when that's all we're seeing in 7 episodes. And the fact that your only actual deaths are 2 female characters. Aside from all the men who, and I'm gonna say, aside from all the men who died, but let's face it, those are stormtroopers. They're meant to be fodder. They're red shirts. They're like in any movie or show to die, right? They're not your main cast. Because I also know people in the comments will come in, what about all the men? What about all the sons of they're there to die. We're not there to build relationships on them. We're there to perceive them only as far as the narrative allows. When it comes to Alana, the presentation of Alana, of Circe, of Waller, of Nina, the bride, are 4 female characters. Oh, and actually no, because the doctor is dead too. So
Yeah,
you're smart.
Yeah, I didn't think she played that much for, like, considering I mean, I consider like
plays more of a bigger role for her, but like so anyone who gets presented with kind of these women get taken down a peg or dead. Now, do I think Alana needed to die? Yes. To prevent World War III? Sure. That was the end goal of the show, whatever, right? I think I probably would have been, I don't think I'm okay with Nina's death, but I can convince myself to live with it if G.I. Robot hadn't come back. I think I would have convinced myself to live with it if there wasn't a chance Flag wasn't coming back. Yeah. I don't know. I like the show. It has its problems. I think with a lot of male comic book writers or people who take these characters and write them comic books or otherwise in other medium and adaptations, you always need to have a critical eye. I'm not saying all men write this way, but a good chunk of you guys do. We could have a whole fucking list of how it works. There's a whole conversation in the Marvel Rivals community happening right now with a female character and how she's presented. So it's conversations we need to have, and I think anyone who's taking this critique personally, instead of actually looking at the facts and evidence being presented to them, you are just, you don't want to listen, and you're not looking for a change for how things are written. You're fine with the way things have been landscaped for you, and you don't want to look deeper into what you're consuming and what it means also, because as I said before, these things do hold impact in the real world on how people perceive women and how people interact with women, how people interact with disabled people, how people interact with the queer community. It's all, it happens. I liked the show. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it with you. I gotta sit with a lot of thought on it. I think for enjoying the animation, enjoying the score, getting introduced to characters that I didn't know too much about. Um, the story had a beginning, middle, and ending. Was it perfect? No. Can we find loopholes? Yes. I think I'm sitting at about an 8, 7.58. Yeah.
Yeah. On my side, I guess just wrap everything else up. Yeah, just everything was highly enjoyable. There's a lot of, there's a discourse to be had for a lot of things. It's just, the ending. It's always how you stick the ending to me. And I think, I am fine with Nina dying. I think I would have been more fine if Nina died and Ilana and G.I. Robot had not died. Now, I'm only saying Ilana not dying because I'm then now questioning, well, what was the point of Cersei? And it makes me question way too much for her to die the way she did.
What was pushing the narrative, right?
Yeah, it just makes me, that was the main thing. It's like, this was the driving force of the narrative, and it was just too easy at this point. Sure, the big reveal was that, all right, is, Ilana evil? Is she good? That was the main point of the entire series. And also it was to kill her, right? So I can live with the fact at the very, very end and understand the bride's reasoning for doing what she did at the very, very end, right? But still, the fact remains that we're right now supposed to believe that Ilana is dead. And they're going to move on to their next mission, which doesn't include Flag. That is my most, I guess you say, the thing that I'm most finding trouble, a pill to swallow at the moment, writing wise. But for all intents and purposes, I'll leave it at an 8. I think I was even at a 9, even after Nina dying. And then when we got, I love G.I. Robot, but and he's the boy, but see him come back right after. He came back. I was he went out like a G. Established Cersei being fucking cold-hearted blood. I was just my first introduction to Cersei, and I didn't even realize this. I think that premonition episode, or at least what we saw, there's a lot of characters who are dead, like in Wonder Woman. Well, in that premonition,
so Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Starfire, the Atom, the all your major
DC characters,
Titans and Justice Leaguers were out on the field, spike through.
So it's the cameo last week of Batman was cool, but now it's just all right, how are we gonna build up to these other characters that were shown in that premonition? And I'm gonna be stuck on what was the point of the premonition? What was that premonition, and whose purpose did it serve? Who benefited the most from the premonition? And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, is it a character we don't know about? Because who was did Ileana put the hit out on herself? There's so many ways I could think about this, but who possibly benefits the most? That contract at the very end as well, that could play a part for season 2. But the fact that Alana, I keep saying Eliana, but Alana, the fact that she's dead now, it just leaves it damn, who benefited from this? Because technically if why, because I'm just questioning, all right, for this premonition, you can understand why Cersei will want to do this, or it's because it's supposed to stop this grand war. But am I supposed to believe that's just it? She's gonna go through hell and high water just to stop this, and then just dip? We never see from her again. And
is she gone, or does Waller still have her? And if Waller still has her, what does that mean?
Yeah, and why didn't Waller, we didn't see no extra scene about Waller talking to her about the premonition being false? Because now Waller believes that Cersei tricked her. So it's that's why I'm there's way too many questions I have even more. Sure, it's interesting to figure out for season 2, but
that's why I'm still in my headspace of there was a debrief And the bride had to have told Waller, yeah, it's Ilana and Clayface doing this. It wasn't Clayface and Cersei. So whatever Cersei saw was still meant to happen. But again, how did Ilana get Clayface's number?
Yeah.
It's also that, how did Ilana know to call up Gotham and be like, yo, I hear that you can do this.
And I need you to imitate Dr. Like the
right.
yeah. So that's why I'm like,
Was
there's
it
so
Grodd
many things.
that was like, hey girl, I know we're supposed to World War III it up in here, but we're getting found out. So here's a number, call this guy in. And then we can send like, what is the, I think, okay.
Yeah.
So look, I'm also trying to understand this too in the comic scope, right?
Yeah.
You don't need every team book to connect.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol is its own thing. Doom Patrol has their shit. Batman has his own shit. Metal Men have their own shit. The Challengers have their own shit. Titans have their own shit. Wonder Woman's off doing her own shit, right? And then eventually, sometimes big shit happen. They come together for a big team up. The crossovers, shit, you know, blah blah blah. So when I look at this, like Creature Commandos, I'm like, okay, so I have to think of it like, you know, it's its own book, right? We can see cameos because obviously, like, Phosphorus is from Gotham, Nina's from Star City. You know, shout out to all these places that exist, but we don't need to see Batman up front. We don't need to see Superman. We just, you know, it is what it is. Somehow there's a connection because this Wonder Woman villain is seeing something. So what does she need to do? Kill this princess. How does Waller get involved? Where she, you know, the Sons of Themyscira are, you know, talking about it online, right? Or making moves. So as a government agent, she has to look into this and figure it out. So, okay, makes sense. The only reason why they want to keep the Princess of Pakolistan alive is because they have oil agreements with each other, right? And they're protecting their interest at the end of the day. It's not really about protecting Ilana, only as far as it protects their at the US's interests. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Really trying to real world and comic this book thing out too. Like, I'm not saying that the plot is convoluted or hard to understand, but in the scope of why does A connect to D? How did D get to M? Yeah. And now we have to wait for season 2. And then I think that's also the thing that's bugging me too, because if we get a season 2, we don't need to ever touch on this because that's what happens in comic books sometimes. Yeah. We jump into a whole different story, right? This is a new team. They have a new mission, and
none of this gets brought up again.
This gets brought up again until possibly season 3 or 4, unless Gunn wants to write it so that it's actual 100% interconnecting. We don't know. I think that's also what's driving me crazy about it too. Like, with comic books, you never know if the next writer or the next volume or the next crossover is going to touch on what just fucking happened in the last book you read.
We will leave it here, folks. So I'm at a 8. It would have, like I said, would have been a 9. Because I was expecting someone to die, right? We were calling for it, like it's gonna happen, right? But I think it was the cheapening of it because you brought back the boy G.I. Joe. I love the boy, but I gotta bring it back down because now it's for Nina. Like, now it's for Nina. I gotta pour one out for G.I. Now you gotta pour out for one for Nina. You know, instead. And I guess it's a strong 8 for me. It's a strong 8. Like I said, there's a lot to love about this, and the only gripes is literally in the ending. Literally, it's one of those things where you watch an entire series and then it'll be like the last 4 minutes that kind of just like we just swerved and we're like, hello, wait a minute.
And I'm trying to think, could the story had benefited for more episodes, or is it fine just I think
it's fine. I think for the 7 episodes we got, I think it's fine. I am right now, it's like I'm mainly questioning, you know, Ilana's death because I don't think I would have questioned much about Cersei if Ilana was still alive. We could have got an after credit scene, you know, featuring Cersei instead of featuring just Frankenstein, you know, Eric, because I mean, obviously we know he gonna be living. I mean, my man's just eating bird poop at the end of the final post credit scene. Like, what? That was kind of like a nothing burger to me.
Men like, yeah, no, it really was. Is that an allegory for men like this need to eat shit? Which yes, true.
Like, I mean,
But,
like, yeah, like, cause I mean, his thing didn't really, like, we know, we have all the context that he's gonna be alive. So it's, I wanted to see Cersei. I ain't gonna, that was the one thing I wanted to see for the post credit scene. I was good because she is like the ties, like they're not doing any of this shit if it isn't for Cersei. Right. So where the fuck is she? That's what that's what I'm like. And why are we not hearing from her? But because we get none of that, that's why I'm like, all right, yeah, I killed Nina. You're at a 9. Yeah, I don't have Cersei, and you kill Alana, and you bring back GI Robot, which I getting love, but that's why I'm at that 8. They're gonna have to spend some crazy-ish in season 2 to make all this make a lot more sense, because I think that's how I would grade. You know, I would probably bring up the score or lower it depending on how season 2 goes, pretty much. But yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, a couple of you guys have been pretty active in our comments on YouTube, which I am, and we are super grateful for. I'm loving the conversations we're having and the stuff that you guys are pointing out that I'm not seeing, or that Mike isn't seeing. Yeah, what do you guys think? How would you guys grade it? Is there anything that we miss that we should talk about? Obviously there is no next week, so this is it for our Creature Commandos.
6 weeks. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, six really fun weeks for a show. I was like, yeah, let's take a shot on this. Which I'm happy we did. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe if we're still thinking about it, and if you guys wanted enough, we could do like an afterthoughts like we did with X-Men 97. So please also check our X-Men 97 videos. We talked about that at the beginning of last year. Yeah, so it's been fun.
Yep.
I'm happy to have the bride and Nina in my life.
Yep. Well, Nina's gone, so
look, to me,
I'm just playing.
To me, she's in my life. I'll carry you in my heart forever, Nina, my girl. I'll protect you. I'm going to AO3 looking for the bride and Nina fanfic right now. Like, you don't understand. That's how serious their relationship. Like, I was like, yo, bro. And look, last thing too, if Bride was a guy, like I'm so 100% certain there would have been romantic crush feelings happening, more apparent than there seemed to have been growing. But yeah, that's just
hey man, remember episode 5? I guess, yeah. I mean, here we go. Lesbians. They're supposed to be
lesbians.
Yo, that was so funny. That was so funny. My background, like the honking immediately as I was like this. Like, yeah, I can't type it any better than that. All right, folks. That's it. We'll catch you guys next time. You already know. Doses.